Okay, the best way I can start this off is saying the usual. Zuko 4. He was born, Zuko was born. And through his life, he always lives with All Might, like the usual. In the anime. All Chainsaw noticed for. The day he got told he was quirkless was the saddest day of his life. The person he thought who was his best friend was gone. Everyone he knew was gone. What has been in 4 years? What he has been building up for 4 years? What he was doing for 4 years? Every little thing he has done, all crumbled up and brought to the ground. His best friend, who he thought was his best friend, threw him aside. Like it was nothing. His mother couldn't even give him a blank, couldn't even show an emotion to him. Just saw him as a useless piece of something. All she saw was trash, including his father. Sashi in this one, he never left, Japan. He never went to America. He worked in Japan, of course. I'm sorry to hear that. Everything was gone in a matter of seconds. Izuku, when he turned 5, nothing. He got nothing. His parents sold everything in his room and planned to have another child. But before they did, they wanted to take out the trash first. Izuku one day saw his father with a big smile on his face, saying, "Izuku, come over here. I have something to show you." Izuku being happy for the first time in a year, seeing his father happy at him. He went with him, of course. He thought he was going to an amusement park or something else. Finally, for one thing in this whole entire 5 years that he's been alive, he's finally about to get something. But what he got was more disappointment, depression, sadness. He saw in front of him was an orphanage. He was wondering why he was here. And then he saw clothing, his clothing, packed in suitcases. Then it all connected. His mother and father decided to put him up for adoption. The orphanage took him in, and they left him in there to rot. Zuko was 5 then. Let's jump 3 years. By then, he'll be 8. When he turned 8, he's been bullied, harassed, nearly beaten to death, and beaten, period. All he could have done was just stand there and take the beating. He couldn't do anything. Izuku needed to find a way how to get strong, be more powerful than what he sees now. Izuku one day was finally able to get to a library of some sort. He was going row through row. We're looking in every single book Didn't single one that interested him. I don't know what to call the book, so just a book. Period. So he read it. It told it tales. I'm just gonna call the book Tales. Fairy tales. I don't fucking know. It told a tale of a man. No, this is not Goku. Of a man who connected with his mind, spirit, soul, and life itself. He found a way to use a power that is not a quirk. He named it Ultra Instinct, and only a limited amount of people were able to use his power and bend it to its will. Izuku wanted to know more, so he went back from A and found something called a Book of Life. You guys can see where I'm going with this. Izuku found a book about something called the Book of Life, of course. The Book of Life. No, I'm not talking about the movie. No, I'm talking about a book. It's about the human body and life, period. In the book, he found something called Ki. Izuku read and read it, but he found so little. He went to the internet, search up what is Ultra Instinct. Not only that, what is Ki. But so little information was about Ki, and there was barely nothing about Ultra Instinct. All he got, it was the information about Ultra Instinct was that being able to move with only the mind, without a single thought. And Ki, to train the body and use your life force as that. Using your life force. But I'm not gonna pull a blue crown here and say using all your Ki can result in dying. No, I'm not gonna do that. There is a limit of how much you could take. He could overuse the Ki. That's all I'm gonna say for now. Even though that would have been a good idea, but no. So for, let's say, 1 year, he trained and trained, broke his bones and his muscle, torn his muscles over and over again. And only a single drop of Ki was able to flow through him. He was happy, overjoyed, but he knew he had to train more. Izuku broke every bone in his body after that 1 year. The second he broke every bone in his body, dropped every single blood, every tear, every single time he healed without Ki, he would train and train. One day he finally got one result of Ultra Instinct coming up. He's been fighting these bullies, the people who have been harassing him all of these times. The result was one day he was preparing himself to fight them again. One of the kids threw a punch at him, and without even paying attention to it, he was able to dodge it without even a single thought. But after that, he paid attention again and got hit square in the face. Izuku was thrilled, but knew it wasn't over. He had to continue training. So over and over again, he would train and train non-stop. Izuku will break every bone in his body again, making them 3 times as strong as they usually were. He would do push-ups, sit-ups, run, basically breaking a bone in his body was a casual workout routine. Izuku was finally able to use ki to the point where he could use it in his fist to do something like Kirishima, but harden his skin, but harden his punches, make them more powerful. But it wasn't enough. One day, the orphanage got overloaded. By this time, Izuku was, I'm going to say, 12. So they had to let go of some people. No one was going to care if some quirkless nobody was out on the street, so they just let him go. One day he was walking the streets and then he found this dojo. This base, that's basically it. I don't know what to call him. I think it's the sensei? The person who owned the dojo. Izuku couldn't sense ki, but he could use it. But not as well. Izuku can tell when someone's not using ki. Because he himself can use it. While looking at the sensei a bit more, he realized he can use ki, but not like usual. He was able to use ki to the point where he could form these little balls of beams and everything. Izuku wanted to ask him to train him, but he had no money. But he knew he had to take the shot. He walked in and started talking with the sensei. The sensei said, "Hey kid, you lost? What happened?" Izuku said, I'm not lost, but I do know that you can help me." The sensei said, "How can I help you, kid?" Izuku said, "I know you're using something called ki, and I will please ask you to train me." The sensei was one shocked that this kid somehow knew about ki, but asked him to train them. Sensei said, "Well, again, I'm gonna need your parents to sign you up, and ki, I have zero idea what the hell that is." The sensei didn't want to admit that he was quirkless, and the only power he had was ki itself. But then the sensei asked, "Kid, 1, where's your parents? 2, what quirk do you have? Because I don't know what ki is. Is that your quirk?" Zuko said, "No, I have no quirk. And my parents abandoned me." The sensei knew what it was like to be abandoned by the world and be accepted because of your power. The sensei decided to take him in not because out of pity, because of Zuko, because he related to him. For days, he would train him in the art of, karate, fuck it. Connecting with his mind and soul. And was able to let out more ki than he will ever have. He was finally able to make a spear in his hand, but it wasn't enough. If Zuko was going to compete with All Might and rise to the top with his power, he knew he had to learn how to use Ultra Instinct with ki. So Zuko kept doing meditation, doing push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, everything that he knew. He ran, he calmed his mind, he calmed his emotion. But still, at the end of the day, he still had a hatred for one thing and one thing only. And one thing that kept driving him to freaking... Oh my god, why did they do this now? But one thing that kept him going for revenge. Revenge on his parents for abandoning him. for abandoning him just because he was powerless. So, even through then, they kept training. He kept training and training. The sensei was practically a father figure to him. The day he turned 14 was the day that his life turned upside down. He lost his only father figure because one day he went out and a car hit him. His wounds were too deep. He was too wounded, basically. He bled out right there, and Nezuko never knew until one day someone came up to him. It was basically a lawyer saying, "Your father died because of this and that, car accident." It's basically a hit and run. The car fled. Sensei died right there on the spot. Izuku cried and cried, and he knew how it felt. Not because he lost his family, not because the lawyer lost his family, because he knew how it felt. Because he has seen other people go through this over and over again. The lawyer told him, give me like 5 seconds. I have got to put up a sign or something like that. I really need to put up a sign saying, "Do not fucking disturb." Where was I? Yeah. Izuku was given his father figure's last gift was 500,000 yen plus the life insurance he had on him. He had no family to give it to, so he gave it to all to Izuku, his dojo and everything. So all in total, he got 1.5 million yen. He wasn't a millionaire, nor was he that rich. Because at the end of the day, he had no one but all this money to himself. So he closed down the dojo until he was ready to reopen it. Izuku got all his knowledge from his sensei, his father figure. That's one of the many things he had left. But little did he know, inside of him, that was the last push he needed to activate something similar to Ultra Instinct sign. But at the end of the day, it was nowhere close to the full Ultra Instinct. Zuko was finally able to activate semi-autonomous Ultra Instinct. Only his eyes would go silver, and he was able to dodge only. But Zuko knew this is the only thing he needed. Little did he know, his father figure died with a smile on his face, knowing that the boy he took in and saw as his own son, after the 2 years he only knew him, was going to live well, and knowing this was the push he needed to activate that Ultra Instinct thing that he always talked about. Izuku kept training through these years. He went to school, got a job at a restaurant. Those people at the restaurant, he didn't trust them, but the people at the restaurant, his co-workers, always treated them like family. Over time, he always expected them. He treated them as family, like he treated them. Izuku was living a decent life, getting a minimum wage job because of his age only. Finally able to he found a nice apartment. He was able to go with a salary. Still had the money that his father left and the insurance. He didn't want to use all the money, wasting it all. So he limited himself to $50,000 per year or so, per month, or 50,000 yen. For his first month, he bought, stuff for his house or apartment and everything. He bought a good bed. I don't know. I'm just gonna say 1,000. Pretty good bed. Everything he needed to live. A nice, decent TV. Not the biggest one, but a one that you can enjoy. Didn't buy a console because he didn't see use of it. But through that, he just lived his life. But he stopped training. He knew his father didn't want him to stop training, so after a month of stop training, he upped his training by 2 times. Like this, he was breaking every bone in his body again, but he found a technique to heal his bones and body. But he didn't become a masochist, for fuck's sake. He is gonna break his bone and heal it. No. Every single time he'll get hurt, he'll heal, but it was extremely slow. The more times he did it, the faster it went. The day he was 15 was the day he met All Might. By this time, he could use ki fairly decent. He was able to make beams, and his semi-autonomous Ultra Instinct, he mastered it. Well, not master it, but he had a good control over it. He hadn't mastered it yet. He was finally happy. He knew he made his father proud, and he knew if he was still here, he would say, "You can become a hero." So when the Slime villain came, when the Sludge villain came, he already knew because his body dodged without instinct. Sure, he didn't have the boost of Ultra Instinct, and he didn't have any key-based forms, but he at least had to try fighting. So he fought until All Might appeared. By this time, Izuku saw All Might as his idol still, his hero. And he knew he could become a hero, so he didn't grab into All Might's leg and ask him, could he become one? When he knew he already was going to be one. One day when he's walking by Central, or the center, I don't know what the fuck it's called, the mall, I'm just gonna call it the mall now. When he's walking by, he heard an explosion from the mall. Izuku thought, are those a villain attack? May as well go. Izuku saw Bakugo He was about to walk away when he saw the hopelessness in Bakugo's eye. He didn't want to hope still. He said, proves him right. After what he did to me for 1 fucking year. After what I thought he was to me, he betrayed me. Just because I was worthless. Why should I save him? Izuku was about to walk away until he remembered what his father figure said to him. Don't let what they did to you back then turn you to the person you don't want to be. Izuku always wanted to be a hero, but Kachan always said, no, you can't be. Izuku wanted to prove Bakugo wrong. He put his backpack on the ground and ran towards the sludge villain, making a ball of ki and throwing it into his eye. Blowing it up, but not completely. The heroes tried stopping him, but with no avail. Izuku would keep throwing ki blasts at him, but when he had to, he'd pull out his final trump card. Ultra. Semi-autonomous ultra fucking instinct. Why do I get this wrong all the time? Semi-autonomous ultra instinct. His eyes turned complete silver, and every single move that the sludge villain tried hitting him with, he kept dodging and dodging. When he threw another ki blast at the sludge villain in his eye, completely obliterating it for a couple seconds, he ran towards Bakugo and grabbed his arm. He tried desperately trying to pull him out with no avail. When he saw the sludge villain healing again, All Might knew that he had to step in, but Izuku had enough. With anger in him, he roared. And it wasn't like a regular one. You heard something behind him that made a shiver go down your spine. And everyone saw that. Everyone heard it. Izuku had a blue aura going around him, similar to his ki. Or not blue. I'm just gonna give it the regular yellow tint. Izuku is gonna get like some type of form before Ultra Instinct itself. Cause I think that'll be a bit more fair. I'm probably gonna give him like 2 or 3. It's gonna be the first one, of course. Which doubled his strength by 2. Which is pretty impressive, of course. All Might was shocked about this. Bakugo was shocked about this. As quirkless kid he knew back then was able to do this. Izuku was able to pull out Katsuki Bakugo. But when the sludge villain tried going for him again, he put up his right hand and shot a ki blast so strong it practically fractured his arm and blew up the sludge villain in smithereens. Enough was left to the point where they could collect him and pronounce him as alive. After he de-transformed, he let go of Bakugo and fell into the ground. All Might was not able to ask Izuku if he wanted to be his successor because they had to rush him to the hospital. They let Izuku in there for 1 day. Then let him in there for 1 day and released him. All Might then asked Bakugo if he wanted to be his successor, and within one answer was a yes. Bakugo after this became more cocky, became more ignorant, became more angry. Wanting to surpass Deku, The boy he thought who was quirkless was lying to him this whole time. How could he? If only he knew he had a quirk, he could have treated him more differently. But no matter, he will get revenge. All might put Bakugo through the same training that Izuku did, but Izuku was already training for UA. Izuku was the top of his class, well not top, but at least second to first best. He was a great strategist with good martial arts training. He knew bronze wasn't only going to be his best friend, but intelligence was too. So, along with studying, he also did more training. And during the 10-year gap from middle school to high school, he trained his ass off. He met some people on the way. No. I'll do that later. Scratch that, he met no one. Scratch that. Nothing. Izuku kept training through this day, through these years. Not years, what the fuck are they? Years? Through this month. Semi-mastering, autonomous ultra instinct, and completely mastering his yellow form. Or should we call it superhuman? If you get it, you get it. So Izuku will, go by this beach every day, and he's been being cleaned by someone, but he had no idea. Izuku found some cool things in the trash one day, because he saw something. Nothing worth keeping, but nothing worth throwing away. He found a nice guitar, and that's basically it. He fixed the guitar. He fixed the guitar with some videos and self-taught. But he thought the guitar was nice, so he kept it. Maybe one day he'll play it. Not only that, Izuku, he knew he couldn't eat that much junk food. It was going to affect his workout, for God's sake. So he decided to learn how to cook. The first time he did it, it ended up with the fire department and him getting to know them very well. To the point where he had the fire department on speed dial. But after a bit, he became an average cook to a decent cook. Izuku will keep training, he'll keep learning how to cook, he will clean, he will do everything he needs. But always at the end of the day, he'll always have time to meditate. With only getting 5 hours of sleep at the end of the day. Well, that was more than enough energy for him. Then the UA exam. And nope. I'm not going to finish it here. I'm going to do the UA exam. Because I fucking love doing this sometimes. He walks in. Bakugo sees him. Bakugo wants to talk to him, wondering what the hell he's been doing. But just passes through him. Passes by him. He doesn't trip. He doesn't meet Uraraka right now. Izuku keeps going forward. He sits down, he listens to the whole thing, and then Ida comes up. Ida saying, "What about the 0 pointer?" while screaming out. Izuku said, "Sit the hell down, no one gives two craps." Ida being very offended, saying, Sit sit down, young man, I wasn't talking to you. Sit down, young man, I don't even know who the hell you are, so don't be calling me young man and you aren't we the same age. Sit your old fucking ass down, boy, before I have to fucking make you sit myself. Ida, very offended and everything, just sits down, mumbling to himself, saying, "You sit down before I make you sit." President Mike saying, "Thank you, but you didn't have to curse." Explains the rest, explains the 0 pointer, and they go to the fuel. Ida tries talking to Izuku, but Izuku just passed by him. And then the clock starts counting down. Well, not counting down, but President Mike says, "Get ready." And then when Izuku saw the gate going down, he started running. Well, gate opening, he started running. Everyone's saying, "Hey, he can't do that, right?" President Mike saying, "Follow the boy. What do you mean? You can't pause during a fucking fight. What are you gonna do?" "Oh, hey guy, hey villain. Give me a second. I have to tie my shoes quickly." "Bitch, I'm gonna kill you. I ain't gonna pause for shit. Get going." Izuku starts racking up points. He's destroying left and right, using his ki. He doesn't want to use semi-autonomous ultra instinct because he knows it's gonna be his last trump card. So Izuku keeps using his ki blast. Then he sees the 0 pointer and the people behind the 0 pointer and the people running. Izuku says, "I do not have time for that shit, so I'm going to go the other way until he hears a cry for help." He sees a what was I going to say? Black hair, brown haired girl under the rubble. He knows he has to go and help. So Izuku turns into his yellow form and puts it to 100%, putting him into a 3 times multiplier. Izuku remembers the blast he did to Sludge Villain, so if only he could recreate that. But until punch, he could probably take it down. So Izuku starts running towards it with full speed. But he has to fly, he has to jump. So while running, Izuku starts floating in some way, and he doesn't even realize it. His adrenaline is pumping in, knowing that if he doesn't save the girl, she's gonna die and the blood's gonna be on his hands. He keeps running and running, or floating and then flying at top speed to the 0 pointer. And at the face of the 0 pointer, he charges up 100%. You could say smash? I don't know. I'm gonna name it Tokyo Fist. Or Tokyo Punch, I don't know. Tokyo Punch for now. That sounds more likely. Yeah. That. Well, just a key fist for now. He charges it all the way to 100% and then uses it on the 0 pointer. Putting a small dent into it, not that small, a medium-sized dent into it, to the point where it's able to go down, you know, fall over. Zuko was able to get Uraraka out of there, but then the 0 pointer starts getting up again. Zuko's arm is so fucking damaged right now. It ain't like anime Zuko where all his bones are broken. No, it's fucking fractured as fuck right now. Shit looks fucked up. So he runs with the Uraraka in a bride style, running towards the crowd, and tells Ida to hold Uraraka for now. Izuku, healing his right arm, because I'm going to say he used that one, he charges up a full beam and glimpses of a form to, I'm going to say, he keeps switching to red and yellow, switching it back and forth over and over again. When he reaches in front of the 0-pointer, his form turns red for a split second, and his beam turns blue, going straight through the 0-pointer and demolishing the city behind it. Not completely, but just destroying some of the buildings. Because I don't want to make Izuku this OP in the beginning. Izuku with a barely healed right arm turns broken, and with his left, fractured as shit. Is falling towards the ground, and Uraraka telling Ida to rush towards Izuku. Him doing so, and Uraraka touching him with all 5 fingers, of course. Saving Izuku, returning the favor. Now, I'm going to leave it off here. I got some questions first. Let me get up. I want to know one thing. Was the ship, no ship? Because I ain't doing a harem. I see one suggestion for a harem, I'm throwing my phone out the window. Going with that. And have a nice day, have a nice life, have a nice whatever. You do you guys, don't get corona like usual, and have a good day. Good.